Because how can you close your door and somebody is dying outside your door?
I know. It's
Anyway, good to see you. I'm so happy at least you can hear me today.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Then Rebecca, I always say hi to Rebecca.
Hi, Demetrius. Good to see you again.
Demetrius, I'm so glad you were able to come on. Yeah.
And is your band outfit behind you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it always is behind you. So I was just checking to make sure you're the real Demetrius. Because the real Demetrius has a band outfit behind him.
Demetrius, yes, I see him.
Yeah.
That's Ella's grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca, I think that we
I like your hair. You did something different with your hair, Demetrius.
Thank you. It's just getting longer.
Yeah.
That's really
it.
David, are you ready to start us with our song?
Yeah, my speaker doesn't work, so I'm having Caroline ask Alexa to sing it for us.
Okay, that would be very nice of her.
Alexa.
So everyone, if you don't already know, we always start out our morning meeting with a song where we get up and move and just get our blood flowing. Some of us, different parts of the world, it's the afternoon, it's the evening, and for some of us, it's first thing in the morning. So we just like to get up and move. David always plays a song for us. Here we go.
This song actually is Scott's one of his favorite songs. So we're playing that one. I think Linda gave us that song name. Okay, Caroline, you have to unmute. There we go.
It's not Linda. I found it from the internet about a song that he liked.
Oh, okay, okay. I don't hear it, sweetie.
You can hear?
I don't hear it at all. I see you dancing, which we could like dance with you, but
you don't hear the song.
Why don't you tell me the name of the song and I'll just play it on I'll look for it on my phone.
You can't hear it?
Not at all.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Oh,
what's
wow.
the
Let
name?
me see if my volume here is on.
What's the name?
Hold on. It's called the Feel It Still by the band Portugal the Man.
Phyllis?
Feel It Still by Portugal the Man. I saw it that I found it that one of the students had posted that was also one of his favorite songs.
I don't think that I don't think I'm spelling it the right way.
Get another one, David.
You can hear it?
No. Can you spell it for me? Because I can't understand how to spell it with the.
Tell that David to get another one.
You guys want to like introduce
David,
a little bit?
It's called Feel It Still by the band Portugal
I know,
the Man.
but how do you spell feel it? F or PH or what?
F-E-E-L, feel it. Like feeling.
F-I-L-L?
F-E-L-L, like feeling, like feelings.
People ask me, what do you do to wet your teeth?
F-E-A-L? F-E-L-L?
Get another one, Caroline.
Let me come upstairs.
Shipping is free, plus you receive free quick statement.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, here is it. I put it in the chat, so if somebody wants to play it, they can.
You hear it now?
Oh, okay.
Can you hear it now?
Yes,
Can you hear it, Carol?
yes. It's a nice warm up. The students say that Chad loves that song. All right, we can, that's good dancing.
What?
That's good dancing because we have people waiting to come in and we have to go live at 11:30.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dave, for that song.
Sorry about
And
the technical difficulties.
that is an amazing song. I first heard that song when I was volunteering in a second grade classroom, and the teacher always gave her kids kind of a movement break in the mid-afternoon, and she would put that song on and the speaker in the classroom, and I just remember the kids would dance their hearts out to that song.
Wow,
sweet.
I wish I would have done that when I was a teacher. That's a great idea. In fact, I was a music teacher. I should have definitely done that.
Yeah, teachers today are really more in tune with the learning needs of kids. You know, you can't
Yeah.
just sit all day.
I know, I was just reading so many things about all the things that the students said, and this is something that came up that the students said it's a surprise to them that he liked the same music, Feel It Still by the band Portugal the Man.
Good stuff. All right, so let's get started with our introductions because we'll be going live at 11:30 a.m. EST on Facebook. I know that there's a lot of people who will be very much looking forward to Linda's presentation. So if you want to text your friends and anybody else who you think might be interested, let them know it's 11:30 on the Voice of Our Child Facebook page. So I'm Rebecca West Hensinger. I'm your director and moderator here at Voice of Our Child, where we meet each and every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. EST, which is our core group, which is you guys right here. And we bring to you mentoring, we bring to you conversation, we practice public speaking, we talk about current affairs. We exist to decrease teen suicide, anxiety, and depression. And of course, we bring to you each and every week incredible guest presenters from around the world. And today's is one that I have really, really been looking forward to. And when I heard the news that Linda would be joining us, I was through the roof. We've had so many guest presenters on here. All of them are fantastic and unique in their own way. But what Linda is so bravely bringing to us is we're very, very lucky. And you guys will see what I mean. So really turn on your ears.
Mm-hmm. And learn from it and learn from it and find ways to do things to help this kind of a situation not happen again, as I'm sure Linda will explain.
Where is everybody from? I'm just curious.
Yeah, everybody will introduce themselves. Yeah, this is now how we do it. Everybody will get to hear everybody speak and say where they're from and their age, and we even have a question of the day that will help you in what you're talking to them about.
Yep. So Linda, everyone is going to introduce themselves, say their name, their age, where they live right now, and then we have a question of the day. And today's question is, kids and young adults and everybody here, really think about this one. Have you ever been in a situation where, for lack of a better term, where you have told on somebody, where you just felt in your body and in your mind that something wasn't right, somebody wasn't doing something right, something wasn't fair, or even something that wasn't safe for everyone? Have you ever been that person who has let somebody else know, a teacher, a parent, somebody in authority? Have you been the person that has let somebody in authority know that something wasn't right? Or have you ever been the one person in your group of friends who told the truth about something that everyone else was lying about? Okay, this is a tough one. So really, really think about it, okay? I'm gonna give you my answer just so you can start thinking, and then I'm going to introduce our founder and co-founder. So I'm Rebecca West Hensinger, age 39, from Allentown, Pennsylvania. And when I was a young girl, I was out playing with my cousins, and they found a marker on the ground. And on the side of a building, it was painted white. They started drawing on it. And I almost couldn't even watch because I knew it was wrong. I was probably in 5th grade. And it really, really, really bothered me. But I didn't want to tell on them because I didn't want to be the one tattletaling on them. In America, we have a term. You tell on someone, you're a tattletale. That's not always the case. And so we got back to my aunt's house after we were playing outside, and they drew on that wall. And I just couldn't help the words coming out of my mouth. And I told my Aunt Valerie, I said, Aunt Val, Jason and Jonathan found a red marker and drew all over the wall of a building. And everyone kind of looked at me and was like, why did you do that? But I knew it was wrong. And when you really know that something is wrong and it bothers you and it kind of even like hurts your stomach a little bit, and you think about it, you've got to just get it out. That's what I did. And that's just a small example. So there's my answer to the question. That was the time when I was the one who brought something to the light that I thought was wrong, okay? So think about that. That's an example for you. So let me introduce to you the reason why we meet each and every Saturday. Our founder, our CEO, our mentor, our coach, our beloved author, and most of all, our very best friend, Dr. Caroline Verkuyk.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And thank you so much for always being an amazing director to us. Like you said, my name is Caroline Verkuyk, and I founded this organization, and I've told you guys every Saturday, but for those who have not been here, that we started this organization after we found out that one of our oldest daughters was really struggling with depression and had suicidal ideations, and we didn't even know as parents what to call it. We thought she was just acting up, and she just thought she was different. And I realized that there's so many parents out there who are missing out on all the signs that their children are going through. A lot of parents are staying up at night wondering why their child is acting up, why their child is failing probably in school, why their child is angry all the time or sleeping all the time, and interpret it to be so many other different things. And also there's so many of you here who are struggling either with anxiety, or you're being bullied, or depression, and you don't know what to call it. And to bring it out here so that you guys can know that mental illness, depression, anxiety all have a name. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're suffering. It's just the same way people can get any other kind of a sickness, and that you should always talk to an adult about it. And the one way that we've been doing it is by taking teens on a humanitarian trip to Kenya. I grew up in Kenya, and we have found out, which I also found with my children, that whenever we took them out of this environment into a different environment and did a lot of humanitarian and community service, giving school supplies, providing school water, these kids, providing clean water, these kids felt that they were needed. They felt they were impacting the world in a remarkable way. So we started reaching out to organizations to sponsor this teen on a 2-week humanitarian service. Dimitri has been on that trip. Yati will be going on that trip. Lacey and Anita have been on those trips. And we found out that kids get changed. They become more empathetic. They realize that there's people who don't have so much, but are happier. And to answer your question for the day, I have to be very honest that when I was growing up, I grew up with my brother and my uncles because my sisters were younger. So I was more with the boys. And they did all the bad things you can think of, but I was always so afraid of telling because they would tell me, if you go and tell, we're not playing with you anymore. If you go and tell, we're always gonna leave you at home. And I was so scared to tell. So sometimes we'd all get a beating from my mom just because I wouldn't tell who did it. So I suffered in the long run, all with them because of not. And I grew up with that thing inside me, even as an adult, that you don't tell because then you don't become popular, or you don't tell because you become a snitch. And I've found out as I grew up that it's so wrong to say that, because sometimes it can be your life that's on the line with this. And with that being said, I know that there's times when I have worked with an organization, and we've had people like maybe doing stuff that you know that would be bad for the company. And I'm just sitting there going like, oh my goodness, what if I go and say something and then they'll think I'm just snitching, or I'm just jealous about these people. And so I keep quiet, and it's not good to do that. So I can't even think of even an incident in my head that I reported about something that I saw that was happening. And I feel so guilty about it because it is wrong not to say something. It's not snitching. It's not telling on them. Sometimes it could be something that could save your life.
Nice. Always a fantastic answer, Dr. Caroline. And yeah, it's hard to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to be the one who is telling the truth or is talking about what you know is wrong. There's a lot of peer pressure in that, for sure.
David?
Hi, I'm David Verkijk, co-founder with Caroline, or Dr. Verkijk, Dr. Caroline, and also the DJ, except Dr. Caroline took care of that today again, for the most part. Anyway, I live in Kinnelon, and I'm 63 years old. Did you hear that? My age? I'll say it again. I'm 63 years old.
A lot of the adults on here don't say their age. Thank you.
I'm 63 years old, and I'll be 64 in June on Flag Day, which is a day they started 63 years ago in honor of me. I think it was something like that. Anyway, that's what I was told.
Wait, did you say 53 or 63?
No, 63.
63.
63, yeah. Six.
Stop it.
3. Yeah, I'll stop it. Okay, but that's how old I am. I know, I'm old.
I don't.
So
how long I didn't. Not that age is important, but I'm surprised to hear that. Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet.
It's okay. I told Caroline that I was much younger. That's why she ended up marrying me. Yeah. So anyway, my answer to the question, I don't really think I have a very good answer, because I mean, there's probably a lot of times where I should have said something, but I was always afraid of the retaliation from the people that I said something about, or that I would have said something about. I don't think I shared much of anything like that with my parents, or the only one that I may have shared stuff with about some things that my employers said that I thought were extremely inappropriate and could get them in trouble was Caroline. And other than that, I probably need to be more of that kind of a person who sees something and says something. I'm the kind of person who, I'm afraid to get involved because I'm afraid somebody's going to be upset at me, which, is my issue of feeling like I don't want somebody angry at me. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not a very good answer. I mean, I wish I had, but I'm trying to be honest. So
any answer that's honest is great.
Yes.
Yep. This is the tough one. This is the tough question. All right. How about Lacey? Go ahead, Lacey.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lacey. I'm 15 years old and I live in New Jersey. And to answer the question, I had a friend who was gay and people were making fun of them. So I told those people that that wasn't right and that they should stop doing that.
Good.
Good, my
That's
sweetie.
perfect.
Very brave. Perfect
Yeah.
example. Lacey.
And
Need
Lacey's
people
Lacey's very good at even when she was younger at admitting if something was wrong or coming and telling me who drew on the wall, who did this, who did that. And I really think that's a good trait to have, that honesty.
Yeah, she's honest and she's tough. I mean, not in a mean way, but she's tough.
Lacey, did you get any pushback from that?
Huh?
Did you get any pushback from that? Did anybody have anything to say to you, when you were sticking up for your friend?
Not really. They were just like laughing like it was like a joke. Like I was telling them it as like a joke to stop.
But you had to feel good about it after you stuck up for your friend.
Yeah.
Proud of you, sweetheart.
Awesome. We need more good friends like you, Lacey. All right. How about Demetrius? Hey, Demetrius. Good to see ya.
Hello. It's good to see you all. I'm Demetrius. I live in Florida and I'm 18. And as you can tell by the band uniform, I'm in the marching band. And so to answer the question, I've seen like this concept present in a lot of different things. Like with one example, say, I don't know, one of my siblings did something they know they shouldn't have done. I would tell on them, but instead of like, running immediately to tell them, like my parents or whatever, I'd say, hey, you have to tell them, or I will, because I don't like being a snitch. Because say, I don't know, I'm throwing something away and I miss the trash can or whatever, and I don't notice and I don't pick it up. Because I'm the oldest of my siblings, and then my younger brother will run and say, Demetrius didn't do this. And I'm like, why would you? So that's why I'm like, okay, you own up to it, or I'll have to do it for you. And also, again, the culture of no one likes a snitch. And then there was also a time, like in leadership, when I see, because I'm one of the leaders in band, so I'll see the students aren't working or practicing or doing what they need to do. And it's just overall the concept of realizing, oftentimes, like doing what's right, like it's just like I read in almost every book ever, doing what's right will cost you popularity. But I've realized, now it's like, oh, now most of my friend group is leadership who struggles with those same things. So I'm like, okay, it's nice to know I'm not the only one trying. And so it's just like that long-term reward that continued to motivate me.
Very, very wise. Very wise. A lot of wisdom there, Demetrius.
Mhm.
Coming from 18-year-old Demetrius, officially an adult.
You.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, sometimes doing the right thing will cost you some popularity or even some friends. But when you lay down to go to sleep at night and your mind and your conscience is clear, that's very valuable.
Extremely.
Totally. And you being the oldest sibling, you're the example.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And I don't like it because I'm like, why can't they live their own life and take their own path? But
Eventually, the time is coming.
yeah.
The time is coming. All right. How about our dear friend Yati? Go ahead, Yati.
Hi everyone, my name is Yatarth, but you can call me Yati. I'm from Bangalore, India, and I'm 15 years old. And I would say the answer to my question is that so in 2019, I was just going to the lunch hall with like my whole class. We were just seven of a class at that point of time, and then like we saw like these two kids break a glass in the classroom, and this is when we were going to lunch. So I mean, we all just kept quiet about it. But then when we were heading back, when I was heading back to my classroom with my friend, I saw like two kids, like they were just in second grade, and I saw these two kids. They were talking to the coach or teacher or something like that, and they told that we didn't do it. We saw someone else do it. I didn't know who they were, firstly, for starters. So it was just sort of a stop and go sort of situation. I just popped in and told the coach it was this kid who did it. And then I just like skedaddled out of that situation after that. I mean, even like last year, whenever I last saw that kid in school, he still doesn't speak to me because he's a little mad about me about that incident that I actually told the truth that he did it. But I mean, in the end, I knew what was supposed to be right was being to tell the truth and not actually saying telling the telling lies or anything like that. So I mean, that's my incident. That's my story.
Nice, Yati. Yeah, it's tough, and I hear us all saying, the term being a snitch, and I wish there was a different term for it, but tell me if you guys agree with me in thinking about everything that we're hearing you say. Maybe if you're a snitch or a tattletale, and I taught kindergarten for many years, so I've been around a lot of tattletales, and as a teacher, you know the difference between a kid who is tattling or snitching on somebody versus somebody who is telling you about something that wasn't right, wasn't safe, or really wasn't fair, or somebody was blamed for something and it wasn't right. That's different, right? Some kids, especially little kids, it's just in their personality when they're that age to say, Miss Rebecca, so-and-so did this. Teacher, so-and-so did this. And it's over and over and over again. And then even if you have a friend like that, you start to see that that's just how they are. And it's for little things. It's for little things. We're talking here about big things, right? Things that could really contradict somebody's safety or well-being. I think, and tell me if you agree with me or not, that's the difference, right? Snitching is just telling on somebody just to tell on somebody, right? Or just to be that person. But when you go to a trusted adult and tell them about something that is really wrong or unsafe or just not right, that's different.
That shows maturity. And Linda will be talking all about this at the end after she hears all your answers on how you understand the difference. So I'm glad that you're all opening up and talk honestly so that she can know what you know, so that at the end she can be able to explain to you the difference and tell you the pros and cons or even the benefit of being truthful and really looking out and watching what your friends are doing.
Agree. Okay, how about Sandy? Go ahead, Sandy.
Hello. Hi, my name is Sandra. I'm 20 years old and I live in New Jersey. To answer the question, there was like this time where I was in high school and this girl like wanted to fight me. So then like it kept on going on for like a few weeks. Like she would like see me in the hallway and like say that she's gonna fight me, but she never did. So like I went to the office to write an incident report, and then that's like just me telling somebody so it could like stop.
That's important.
That's very important to report. A lot of kids fighting in the bathrooms. We've seen kids who are killed, by their friends while they're fighting in the bathroom. So thank you, Sandy, for reporting. I do remember that incident. Thank you.
If
yes,
somebody,
Linda? Yes.
But you know what, Sandy? It's also so important that you did that because you might not be the only person that she decided she was going to fight. And so there's a record. And let's say, for instance, that she did have a fight with someone else. They look back and they say, you know what, this particular student has been doing this, previously. And it's important that we make sure that we watch so that nothing worse transpires. So you were very helpful to school to just put something in the record because you never know down the line what happens. So it should be in the record, especially if you couldn't take care of it and it kept going and going. That's very, very important.
Thank you.
So well said. Yes, very true. Yes. Thank you, Linda.
Definitely. So good to hear these things. Okay, how about our beautiful Michelle? Hey, Michelle.
My name is Michelle. I'm 7 years old and I live in Kennesaw, New Jersey. And something.
Michelle, have you ever seen somebody doing something and then you told on them?
This girl, I can't remember her name. When lunch was over, she was cutting, and then my friend was in the front, and then her friend painting. And she said, Jana said she can come here, but I was like, no, there's not enough space. So then she was like, then she was yelling at my friend. She was like, it's not fair. I was here first. Why do you always have to take? And so I was like, my friend, and then I said, that's mean to say. So I went to the teacher and said that that she was cutting in the line, and that her friend Peyton was cutting too, and that she was yelling at my friend. Elon.
Good
Thank you.
example, Michelle.
That's a really good example, Michelle. I know you always are so friendly and you always want to be very helpful. And I'm glad that he went and told the teacher. It's always good to report to the teacher because then you know the teacher will always be watching out for you. And like Miss Linda said, the teacher now will maybe note that, and if anything else happens, they'll know that maybe that particular friend is trouble. And it's okay if you don't remember their name. We don't even want you to say who their names are. We just want to report the incident. So thank you so much, Michelle. And I see your teeth are coming back.
Thank you, Michelle. Sorry, Caroline, can you call on the next person? My dogs are having some trouble.
Okay, all right. So I would like to call Anita.
Okay, hi, my name is Anita. 14 years old. I live in Kenlaw, New Jersey. And I remember one time I found $5 in a book at the library. And my friend told me to keep it, but I ended up telling the teacher. And she told me I could keep it. And so I bought like stuff for my friends, and then they gave me a certificate.
That's good. That is a good thing, Anita. Finding something and always knowing, like, it's always good to report to the authority, because if it's somebody who had put it in the book and had forgotten it and you used it, then it would have been considered that you stole. So that's a really good thing. And that you even used it to trick your friends. Now they know they should have also said something. All right, let's call Rahul. Rahul, you're next. Maybe he's having problems getting on. John, can you go before, if you're able to unmute yourself? John Kapemba.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, it seems like, oh, okay, there you go. Okay.
So we called on Rahul. Maybe Rahul can't unmute, and John.
John was just trying to unmute it. Oh, there he is. There's John. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, brother.
Me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. First of all, I'm sorry. I'm still operating on 6:30. I think I had not changed that we are supposed to be starting at 5:30. That's why I've been late. I'm sorry, but I guess now I need to adjust again to 5:30, the official starting of the meeting. So my name is John Mutisia. I'm a teacher here in Kenya. And today's topic, I guess it's a must listen to every teacher. From what I saw from the poster, I'm eagerly waiting to hear what the story behind it. And about today's question, I'm trying to figure out what is this that I had to say. I don't know if what I'm thinking about will relate to what my sister Rebecca has asked. But I remember some years back when I was in high school. That time we had the issue of strikes, where students could burn the dormitories and maybe school buses. So we had a group of pupils. I was one of the leaders in secondary school, and there was something like that was coming up. And there were no solid reasons behind why that should happen. The neighboring schools had gone on strike. They didn't want to do a mock. A mock is the exam before you do the main exam. So most of us didn't want to do the mock. So it was like a wave spreading through the neighboring schools. Being a leader, I felt that this was not right. So I had to disclose it to our head teacher, the principal, who was very close to me. It was like betraying the others, but I guess it was one of the best decisions, because once you go on a strike, any loss that is incurred, then the money is, they do an evaluation, and then they assess the damage, the value of the damage. Then it's divided to the group, the whole group, those who are involved or those who are not involved. So I had to take that broad and difficult step to inform the head teacher. And he acted very fast, that he was able to call us and reason out together. And up to date, I'm very happy that this did not happen. But indeed, it was a difficult decision to disclose to the head teacher what was just about to happen. I guess I was also able to save most of us, because the burden would have gone back to our parents and everybody. It's like they say here in Kenya, mtego wa panya unasa wenye waliomo na wasiokuwepo. So it would have affected both of everybody who would have been part and also not part of the strike. So I hope it does make some sense with the question that was asked.
It really does, John. And one of the things I wanted to ask you, as a teacher in Kenya at your school, do you have a rule that maybe that when kids see something they can report to a teacher? How do you handle it? Like if a kid would come to you and say something as a teacher there.
Okay, one thing for the children to report.
Yes.
The relationship between the teacher and the student must be good. If it's basically even at home, if the relationship between the parents and the children is not good, there is no openness, then you can imagine it will be difficult for the children to report. But from the school that I work, we have what we call the life skills lessons that are conducted by the class teachers. Every week, every class has a life skill lesson. These lessons, it's about sharing the experiences, the problems that they are facing. And here you put yourself in the level of the learners, so that they will be willing to open up and say every single thing that they feel that is affecting them. It's not been easy, but over the number of years I've been there, I've seen it working. And if it's a gentleman who is handling a class, and we feel maybe they are girls and they might not be willing to tell the teacher who is a male, then we encourage them to, within the same streams, we have female teachers. So we'll encourage them to talk to the female teachers, and in case there is anything, they'll be able to share. And through this, we've been able to nab some cases of bullying that were coming up, but through the life skill lesson and letting the learners feel free with the teachers. Of course, there are those boundaries that there are between a teacher and a learner, making sure that they don't pass those boundaries, but indeed there is a good rapport between the teacher and the student, just to ensure that things do not go beyond repair. There are so many instances you'll hear from schools that are happening. And for me, I know they narrow down to lack of good communication, lack of togetherness between the teacher and the pupil. Find that there is a big gap. And again, it's a relationship between the teacher and the learner. And then if you bring it at home, how you relate with your children. You find there are children who will not even want to tell their parents what happened, because it's like you have created a big gap. So for me, I advocate that be friends.
Yeah,
and then
create a relationship where they can feel safe to come and tell you what's going on.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much, John. Yes.
That's it.
Rahul, oh, sorry.
No, I'm saying it's so universal hearing the reflections of somebody like John, who's a teacher in Kenya, and then some of the teachers that we have on here and the students we have on here is so universal that the relationship and the communication is that those are really number one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, let's have our friend Sandel. I see you. I love the red jacket. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. I'm actually getting ready to head out, so I'm going to be listening in for most of the call. So my name is Sandel Taylor. I'm actually from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am a teacher as well, but I actually get to teach adults. So I actually teach cosmetology. So I get to teach people how to do hair, skin, and nails all day long, which is really, really, really fun. And I believe for the question of the day, I can really relate to what both John and Rebecca have said about being a teacher, and really kind of opening up the students to be able to come to you and talk to you about some of those things that may be challenging to them. And I can recall a student when I very first started teaching about 6 years ago, that came to me with a problem. She had felt that she was challenging in her life, that someone was bullying her, not in our school, but just outside of the school, and kind of didn't know how to handle that. It was actually social media bullying. And, you know, we had just kind of had this conversation about things that they can do. So first and foremost, of course, you know, remove that person from their social media. You know, again, you know, you have that ability to have a conversation with them to maybe find out what's going on, why are they, you know, doing those things to you. And then, of course, you know, last but not least, hopefully you won't have to come to this, but, you know, blocking them from the social media, and just kind of reminding this particular student that, you know, it didn't really matter what anyone else had said online or about them, that they were an amazing individual and that they had every single right to be happy and thriving in their community.
A really great answer, Sandel, and always good to see you. Where are your kids today?
They will be joining me. We are actually going to an event to help give back to our community called the Blessing of the Bikes. So there's a bunch of motorcycles coming around. So they're actually going to be heading out soon, but I had to leave a little bit early because I'm bringing some coloring books and some coloring pages. So I had to head out a little bit earlier than them, but they will be joining me a little bit later.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And keep doing what you're doing as a teacher and as a mom, and you're definitely making a change in the world. Thank you so much. Okay, and now I would like to call Vindir. And then after Vindir, we'll have Vikshar, and then Dr. Penny, Rahul, and Rohit before we go live, in that order.
Sure. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Bindia. That was me.
That's beautiful.
I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So I'm Shilpa's cousin, Yati's aunt. I don't want to share how old I am. I can say I feel 26 all the time.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, So, but anyway, I wanted to share. I really don't. There's many things that goes on at work, right? You know, sometimes you think whether you should share or not, but then I've learned over time it's okay to bubble up. You know, differences, and just because I'm an Indian in America, that does not mean when things are wrong you don't speak up. You do, right? So I don't have a specific example, but just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And thank you for Shilpa for inviting you. And Shilpa can go next after Viksha.
And Viksha is my daughter, so I'm so happy she's on.
Oh, great, great. Hi, Viksha.
Hi, I'm Viksha. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and
how old are you?
I'm 13 years old. To answer the question, I don't really have much, but so a few days or a few weeks ago, there's like these two kids at my school, and they like never talked to me unless they wanted the answer to like a math problem, and so I used to help them for like the first few couple of times because it wasn't like that big of a deal. But then they kept on asking me, and then I used to tell them the wrong answer. And then finally, I just stood up to them, saying that you guys shouldn't ask me for the answer and stuff. So
that was good. You're teaching them a lesson that they need to be able to find out, you know, for themselves. I know when you were younger, when you saw a kid who was really smart, you would give them anything to be able to help you, you know, with your schoolwork. But it's good to always stand up for yourself, and it's really good to have you here. And I'm so glad that you're here because our guest today is somebody who will help all of you as students to learn how you can stay safe in school. And you better get a pen and a paper, guys, because this will be something that you'll all be needing even to share with the other kids as you go back to school. So Shilpa, I know Rebecca had to get in the cover. She'll be joining later because she's dropping her son somewhere. But
yeah. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Shilpa, and I'm better known as Yati's mom, and trying to make my own niche now as Shilpa, as in myself, and creating my identity. One thing that I would not call it a snitch, but I would like to say that, you know, I had to literally bring the whole group together to prove myself or my husband and me that, you know, we haven't, so there were rumors going around about us, and I had to, it had got to do with our career. So I was not going to sit down and take it all. So I had to kind of fight my way back. And my husband was like, you know what, let go of it. But as I was like, no, I'm going to fight it. I don't need people talking behind my back, and they can talk the same thing in front of me. So I had to get the whole set of people who were talking behind my back. It took me 2 months to get the whole people who were talking to sit in under one roof and prove myself that, you know, no, we did not do this. Now you people have something to talk. Now talk face to face in front of us, so that, like, you know, we can clear the doubts what you have about us, because it was a matter of our career. So, and they really kind of were taken aback that I did something like this. I had to play my, I had to manipulate them all to come under one roof, because they did not want to be under the same roof, because they knew I was going to catch them and I was going to question them because we're talking behind my back. So yeah, I had to prove myself. That was a few years ago, but lately I have been I'm being a taskmaster as a volunteer for COVID, where I've seen people, there's a method which our government is following for vaccination drive, and there's an age group which they have to follow. And I have my own friends who are jumping the line, and they're like, oh, they're my friends, so let me give the vaccination, even if they're 30, though the government says it's 45 plus without comorbidities, they're not ready to wait. So actually, I have gone and complained. I did not care if they come to know, because we are waiting for people who are underprivileged to get the vaccine than people who can just pay and get the vaccine done. Everybody is going to get the turn. So now the government, I don't know how much it has affected, but the government has come up with a very strict rule that they need to upload why they are getting the certificate, I mean, why they're getting the vaccination if they're below 45 years. So this is how it's been with me. And yes, my friends, in fact, they tell, hey, do not go tell Shilpa that, we are giving vaccination, because if she comes to know, she's going to lecture me of why am I skipping the turns. So this is the new thing which I'm like, become a taskmaster, and they don't want to kind of do things behind my back, or rather I go confront them directly, irrespective of what it is. So yeah, that's me of late.
Thank you so much, Shilpa, for always standing up for yourself and standing for the truth, because the truth is what will set you free. And the truth, sometimes you could lose a few friends, but then you gain the friends who are better for you, and you're saving lives. This is all about saving lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
as
much.
as we're getting on to go live at 11:30, so the next person could say something. I'm trying to get us here on Facebook Live. So whoever I had called next could go. Dr. Penny.
Hi, this is Dr. Penny from Birmingham, Alabama, originally from Kenya. I'm 74 and 74 young, and I'm glad to be among the young ones because you people keep me young and relevant. I want to speak from the point of, the same thing going around for adults as well. You may think that the bullying and everything is for young people, but as an immigrant, I remember working as a hospital chaplain, and at that time I wasn't a citizen. So when my team were making the roster for the week, because they knew I didn't have a very strong voice, and there were 3 of us who were immigrants, they would make us work the hardest. They would give us the longest hours. And at one point, I thought I need to tell the supervisor. I knew I was risking, because they had told me, if you speak about this, we will punish you and overload you more than you think. And so I knew I either risk for the sake of me and the others, because I knew that it was unfair and there was bullying, and the supervisors did not know about this. But the surprising thing is that when I shared this with our supervisor, he listened and he sorted it out. And so here I am saying, if you are schooling with immigrants who are being intimidated in unfair ways, be a voice for them. Because one day they like I would get a chance to contribute, like I am contributing, like Dr. Caroline is contributing, and many others. So yes, we are going to be risk takers for the right reasons. It is not easy because I was scared. They had even told me they would undermine me to lose my work. That could be said about you. Today we are talking about you being bullied and being put through this as a student. You are growing up, you're going to go into the professional world. What you're doing today, what you're practicing today will become valuable for you. So I would encourage you, stand for the right thing. Is it risky? Yes, it is risky. Are you scared? I was very scared because one, I might have lost my job. But I also believed in myself. You have to believe that when it is right, no matter what people are saying around you. So know what you are saying. When you're doing the right thing, remember God is also behind you. When God has your back, he will speak for you. So I know you are there. And I think I listened to a few people, including John, who did something that was very risky, because John could even be risking his own life. They would burn it. They would look for him and burn him. That is how risky it can be. But when you look back and he said it, he saved the buses, he saved the school, he saved the parents a lot of costs. You are here today. You are saving your fellow students and I think a child said, a student here said, she spoke for other students. Speak for your friends. You may be the only protector. You may be the only voice they have. And I like what Dr. Caroline is doing, because she has become a voice. She and David have become a voice for so many children and no wonder they say the voice of our children. Become a voice for somebody. You don't even know whose voice you are becoming. Because today I know that the 3 of us were able to complete our training. That is how I would end up becoming a top chaplain in the US, one of the top female chaplains in the US. But there was a time where I might have lost it all. But when you know what you're doing, be strong. And when you take a risk, the God will protect you. Thank you, Dr. Caroline.
Thank you so much, Dr. Penny. It's always so wonderful to get your wisdom and to learn so much from you as an adult, because sometimes kids think that they're the only ones who are put in a situation where they have to be report somebody or see something and say something. But sometimes, like you said, it has to be probably a matter of you saving your life or saving your job or really making sure that somebody else doesn't lose an opportunity. So
Yes,
thank
thank
you so
you.
much. I really do appreciate that. So
Thank
we're
you.
already live on Facebook. So if we have one more person left to introduce themselves really quickly, and then Linda now will take over. She has had all of you speak. She knows where your thoughts are and how you understand what she's talking about. And I could just urge you all to mute yourselves, take a pen and a paper, and listen to Linda as she talks about what she's about to teach us today. So if
Caroline,
nobody else is saying
Caroline,
something, I want to introduce her. Oh,
Caroline, before we go live,
yes.
just personally, Penny,
Hold on, Linda, hold on. I want to, hold on. Just hold on. I'm gonna pause it because we are live already.
okay, then I won't say it.
Okay, hold on. No, I'm gonna pause it. All right. So if nobody, did everybody introduce themselves? Anybody who's gonna say something before I introduce Linda? All right. So this morning we are very excited here at the Voice of Our Child, and thank you for all of you who are always tuning. My name is Caroline Bakaik. I'm the founder of the Voice of Our Child, which is an organization that I started with my husband when we found out that our oldest daughter was struggling with depression, has suicidal ideation. My husband himself has struggled with anxiety that has led to depression. And we knew that there's so many parents out there who are losing sleep at night, not really understanding where that connection with their child went to, where that bond that they had went to, and thinking that it's just a teenage thing, that when kids get to teenagers, this is what happens. But you also know that your child could be struggling so badly with depression, and also your child could be struggling so badly with depression. And also for these kids who are here and not just hear the voice of our child, but all those teenagers who are out there listening, the same way you can go to your mom and dad, say, I have a headache, I have a bellyache, it's the same way you can go to them and talk about what you're feeling in your heart, or if you're being bullied at school, or if there's something that's happening at school that's making you get scared to go to school. So, and the other way we do it is, of course, by now taking these troubled teens through sponsored trips to Kenya for a 2-week trip, humanitarian trip, because we believe that when kids are engaged with helping others, they help themselves. So if you're an organization out there and you would like to sponsor one of these teens on a 2-week humanitarian trip to Kenya, we are leaving, the next trip we're leaving is June the 25th. And we go there and we provide school supplies, and we talk about mental health, and we talk about all the things that are affecting our youth. And this morning we're very, very excited because through our Zoom summits, we always invite a guest to give our kids life skills, because I personally believe that depression and suicidal ideation, mostly even in our youth, are the end of results of so many issues that have gone, and so many answers that they don't have, so many life skills that they have missed in their life, that we as parents, as adults, can give to them. And so this morning, we are very, very excited to have Linda Schulman, who is a mother of Scott Beagle, who lost his life trying to, who was a teacher, and he lost his life to a tragic gun shooting as he tried to protect the students that he loved. Because we know being a teacher is a calling, and most teachers would not do anything else but be there for their children. So listen up, kids, as you're listening to this. Think about your teachers, think about your fellow students, and really pay attention to what Linda is trying to teach us today. And if there's anybody also there who's listening who might want to be getting to us after this, you can write to us at thevoiceofourchild.org. So I'll give my husband 1 minute to introduce himself, and then Linda, you can take it from there. And thank you so much for even coming out here, being part of what we're doing, and being that voice for every child who's out there, and teaching them the things that they need to see.
It's really my
the legacy of your son continues. Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Verkijk, co-founder with Dr. Caroline Verkijk, my wife. And so-called DJ. We always have some music at the beginning of our initial conversations at 10:30, where we have our core group and we enjoy a little dancing and get kind of woken up a bit for the conversations and for the meeting that we have. So looking forward to hearing you, Linda, so much. Appreciate your willingness to be with us today. Thank you.
Welcome, Linda.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Linda Beagle Schulman. On February 13th, 2018, I spoke to my son, Scott, reminding him to call his grandmother and wish her a happy Valentine's Day, and to call his sister and wish her a happy birthday. As always, before hanging up the phone, I told Scott I loved him and that I would speak to him tomorrow. And Scott said to me, "I love you too, Mom, catch you tomorrow." February 14th, 2018 started out as a normal day for me. It was my daughter Melissa's birthday. It was Valentine's Day. It should have been a day of happiness, joy, and love. I was working in my office when I got a call from my husband, Michael, asking me, "What is the name of the school where Scott teaches?" I thought nothing of it and I answered, "It's a school in Florida, Mike, with a lot of names." And I went back to work. Michael hung up the phone and not a minute went by. He called me once again. This time he told me that there was a shooting at Scott's school and that I needed to drop whatever I was doing and get home right away. By the time I got home, CNN had reported that a geography teacher had been shot. I tried calling Scott's cell phone over and over again, but no answer. I tried to text him multiple times, no response. I rationalized in my head that he was probably rushed out at school and he just forgot his cell phone. I began hearing more and more news reports. There were many wounded along with fatalities, but they did not yet know the numbers. Maybe Scott was one of those wounded in the hospital with no ID because he probably didn't take his wallet with him. Or maybe it was why, I hadn't heard from him. I was convinced that he was okay and I was just going to be able to find him and see what was going on. After frantically finding a plane flight to get us to Florida, 5 hours had gone by. It seemed like an eternity. My husband, Michael, and I got to the Marriott Hotel in Parkland, Florida, where a command center was set up. There, along with many other horror-stricken families, we waited and waited for news, any news. We just wanted news. At 3 o'clock in the morning on February 15, 2018, my worst fears became reality. My husband and I were brought into a room and asked to sit across from members of the FBI and the Broward County Sheriff's Office. And that was a moment that I will never forget. The agent directly across from me leaned forward in his chair and said, "We all know your son Scott is definitely a hero." And then the officer next to him looked at me and said, "But he did not make it." My beautiful 35-year-old son was dead. He had been shot while trying to close his classroom door, making sure his last student could get in. That was 1,159 days ago. The name of the school is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. My son, Scott, was the teacher and cross-country coach at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School when the active shooter, a 19-year-old, walked into the school at the end of the school day. In 6.5 minutes, a 19-year-old took 17 innocent lives and wounded 17 others. These were 17 people who went to school on Valentine's Day to learn or teach, and they never made it back home to their families. No more birthdays, no more holidays together, no more going out with friends, no more visiting family. From that moment on, my life and the lives of everyone in my family were forever changed. There is a hole in my heart that will never heal, along with a sense of loss and grief that will never go away. Scott saved the lives of 31 of his students when he went against protocol and opened his classroom door, trying to summon in as many students as he could. Remember, when there's an active shooter in a school, and all the teachers on this call know this, protocol has that you immediately lock your door and go to your safe corner. This is practiced over and over during lockdown drills. Scott was shot 6 times within 3 seconds from 5 feet away by a 19-year-old who could not legally buy a beer in Florida, but could own an AR-15 assault weapon. A 19-year-old that was deemed a troubled child, a child with issues. 5 days after the shooting, Scott's cross-country team organized a run for Beagle in Parkland. At the run, many people came up to me, telling me stories about Scott, telling me they couldn't believe what happened, really just bearing their soul. At the run, a teacher came up to me and said that everybody knew that this active shooter was dangerous. And just so you know, the reason I say active shooter is none of us ever say his name because we will not give him notoriety. A teacher actually came up to me and shared that she had the shooter in her class 2 years in a row and was slotted to have him again the following year. She told the administration that she would resign her position if he was assigned to her classroom again. Students at the school referred to this active shooter as Crazy Boy. They knew there was something wrong. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Prior to the shooting, there were reports made to the police and the FBI that the shooter was a danger to himself and a danger to others. I didn't understand. Were people telling me that something could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Like see something, say something? I needed to know how this happened. I needed to know why teachers and students had not gone to the administration and said something. To my astonishment, I was told that teachers were afraid that they would lose their jobs if they reported their concerns. And the students in the school who knew the shooter are afraid of being labeled tattletales or snitches. There were no protections for the teachers or the students. This has to change. Students, teachers, and school administrators have to be free and feel free to say something if they see something. There must be consequences for those who could be a harm to themselves or a harm to others. We all have the right to be safe, but we all have to do our part to stay safe. This year, there has been at least one mass shooting every day. Yesterday in Indianapolis, at least 8 people were killed by someone with a gun. Every day, someone with a gun enters either a school, a temple or church, a movie theater, a shopping center, a grocery store, an office building. This needs to stop. All of you must help to get this done. You need to be our eyes and our ears. If you see something, you must say something. You are not being a tattletale and you're not being a snitch. You're really our first responders these days. We have to rely on you to be our eyes and ears. Right after February 14th, I had found that I had choices to make. I could mourn my son's death or celebrate his life. I chose to celebrate Scott's life and become a mom on a mission. My mission is to put an end to senseless and preventable gun violence. You see, my son came face to face with a 19-year-old who should have never been allowed to own a gun. How do we stop this from happening? We need to become activists. We need to become safety activists. A gun safety activist wants to ensure that all gun owners are responsible gun owners. How is this accomplished? First, we work through legislation to enact gun safety legislation like universal background checks. Everyone who wants to own a gun should be required to pass a background check. A universal background check would keep guns out of the hands of criminals, domestic abusers, and people who have emotional or psychological issues. But we all have to also educate. After the shooting, I started the Scott J. Beagle Memorial Fund. Scott loved his summers working at camp. He first went to camp when he was 7 years old and continued for the next 28 years. Scott actually went into teaching so he could continue going back to camp, because what job lets you work all during the year and take off the summer and then go back? The mission of the Scott J. Beagle Memorial Fund is to send disadvantaged, at-risk children to summer sleepaway camp to show them that there are positive alternatives to guns and gangs. The children we send to camp start at the age of 7 or 8. If they maintain grades and stay out of trouble, we have pledged to send them back to summer camp year after year until they turn 18. We hope at that time they will pay it forward. This coming summer, we have pledged to send 162 children to summer sleepaway camp. I am proud of Scott for the lives he saved on February 14th. I am overwhelmed by the many honors he has been awarded, as well as the stories and articles written about him. I am touched by the letters from students, colleagues, total strangers that I continue to receive. But I would gladly give it all back if I could spend the rest of my life with my son. Simply put, I'm a member of a club that nobody wants to join, and I will do everything possible to try to ensure that no one else becomes a member of my club. I want to hang a sign on the door that reads membership closed. And I ask all of you who are listening to me today to do everything you can so we can tell the world Linda Beagle Schulman's club is no longer accepting new members. You can change the world. You can make a difference and help clean up the chaotic mess that we are living in today. Remember, we all have the right to be safe, and we all have the right to feel safe, and we can do something about it. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me here today and listening to me. And I know that together we can make a big difference.
Linda, thank you so much for sharing the story about your son. As a mother, I can just, I can only imagine that you can only get your strength from knowing how many lives that you're changing every day. Every time you open your mouth, you're saving my child, you're saving all the other children who are here, because you're not just talking about the death of your son, but the circumstances under which, he died. And there's so many things that we can avoid if only everybody thought of your son as their own child. But sometimes it's difficult because of politics or what we believe or anything that we think about human rights out there. But if our children, we're losing our children every day as they go to school. And as a mother of four, I stand with you. I would love to know how else we can even just really support you, because every day as my children go to school, I never ever thought that I would always tell them, in case you hear, that sound of a gun, or in case you hear this. And I'm talking to my kids who are going to school, and or even just to a mall, like if you see something, just like report. Don't think that that person is your friend, like, and really finding out what kind of friends are they keeping, what kind of websites are your friends going to. But you are doing an amazing thing, Linda, and you are saving our children. You are definitely saving our children.
But I have to tell you, to all the children that are on this call, you are amazing, and you have to speak up, because you never know who, maybe someone spoke up before you and you don't even know that. And maybe you're the second or the third or the fourth person to say something about something that you see. And it's really important. It really, really is important. You're not snitching, you know the difference, and you're not tattletaling. You're actually making a difference and making sure that you can be safe.
So is there anyone of you students or parents out here or teachers that has a question or comment for Linda? Please unmute yourself and ask her.
Hello.
Yes, David. Oh, okay, yes, Dimitri, sorry.
So like I said, I'm from Florida, so I remember hearing about the event, and I just had no clue. Like, I knew it would have an effect, but it's heartbreaking to think that how it affected you and reached you, even though you live, way out of the state, and I'm just a couple hours from that school. So I'm really sorry to hear about just all the pain it caused you and such. But
Demetrius, I have to tell you, and this is really important, not only does it reach me, but it reaches everyone I know, because everyone who knows me now becomes part of that, what you call a victim, because they know me, they know how I feel, just like right now, you've now met me, so you know how I feel. So it's now touched you. So it's such a broad range of people that it touches when something like that happens.
David,
how can we help? I know you have these different organizations or one organization with many parts. How can we help to make it happen less? I don't know if it'll ever stop, but how can we help to make it less? You said through legislation and different things. What types of things can we do to help that happen?
We have to keep our voices heard, David. I know it sounds like not much, but it is a lot. We really have to keep our voices heard. I was just at the White House when President Biden announced all of his gun safety, what he's proposing. And the only reason that that happens, or the only reason in a state like, for instance, New York, legislation takes place is because we, the public, keep putting pressure on, and we have to keep talking, and we have to keep our voices heard, and we have to keep writing, not emailing, but literally writing, flooding people with, flooding our politicians, congressmen, senators with like, doesn't have to be long letters, telling them that we are very much behind gun safety. Gun safety is so important. And we're not talking, the one thing I try to explain to anyone who listens, we don't want gun control. Words are very, very important. We don't want to control people's guns. We want them to be reasonable gun owners. We want gun safety. We don't want gun control. We're not looking to take away. We're looking to make sure that anybody who owns a gun, okay, is responsible, has a license, has had a background check. These are really important things. I mean, you think about it, we are one of the only countries that have so many guns. I mean, they're out there every day. Every day you turn on the news now, people are becoming numb to it. That's the problem. It's like COVID. COVID has, I mean, gone stretched out beyond compare, touching so many lives. But now when we hear the numbers, it's like a number. You don't visualize 500,000 people, you hear a number. Mass shootings, oh, it's just another mass shooting. I am not a physical person, but when somebody says to me, oh, we just had another mass shooting, I really want to punch them in the face, because there's no such thing as just another shooting. It's
Right.
somebody's life. Carolyn said it. If it seems that in our society, if it doesn't touch you personally, okay, you kind of like look away. We don't want everybody to have someone shot in their family, for everybody to wake up. This is really important. And you ask, we need to keep our voices heard, no matter, and it's just like, see something, say something. If the next person you tell something to doesn't want to do something about it, don't worry about jumping the chain of command or going to someone else. You make somebody listen to you. If somebody would have listened to those teachers, even the active shooter's aunt called the FBI to say she thought there was a problem, but for some reason, because there was no red flag law at the time in Florida, okay, they couldn't do anything. 3 weeks later, they passed a red flag law, and 10,000 times it was used. Who knows how many of those mass shootings that it stopped? We have to keep our voice heard.
What is the red flag law?
The red flag law means that a law enforcement, a school administrator, a family member can go and get to the court and get a court order saying that they need someone to go into, they think a member of their family, okay, could be of harm to themselves or a harm to someone else. And they go in, they seize the weapons that that person may have, and that person has due process. They can get an attorney, or they can go to court and they can speak on their own behalf. And if the judge finds that there is a problem, he keeps the weapons, okay, until they do the word I'm looking for. They do they check
an
into
evaluation.
all of the
verification.
I'm sorry?
Verification?
Yeah. Okay, they go in and they check out the person and make sure they see if he is a problem, then they can keep the guns. If there is no problem, they're given back. You can't just go to a neighbor and say, I don't like my neighbor and I think you should go in and, you know, go into the neighbor's house. You have to have due cause to do that. But it really does stop a lot of potential shootings. The active shooter would have never been able to go into that school if the red flag law was in place at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And coming from a country like Kenya, which is considered a third world country, I think it's a developing country. Before you even own a gun, you have to go through the background check. You have to be kind of, what can I say? You have to have at least 3 people who are referrals, like 3 people in the government or in the CID, which is like the FBI here, talk about you and write about you and that you can own this gun. They have to come and see where you put this gun. I know that because I grew up there, and it's not very easy. Even when you have the gun, you have to report every year to see if you have shot that gun. If any shooting happens in your area, everybody who owns a gun in that area is known by the government, and they have to come and check your gun if you shot with it. When I think of such a country and that safety there, it just makes me wonder how we here in America can just be able to own a gun. My son, my kids who are younger, who can even like drink or buy a cigarette, can own a gun. Like, how is that? You know, like, what are we more concerned about? You know, my kids getting drunk or, you know, smoking and getting lung cancer, or using that gun to go out and hurt somebody. And also the way we always refuse access to maybe personal information online. Some of these kids, they have gone online, they have looked how to make a gun and everything. And if only somebody had reported, and there's so many parents actually who I give credit to, who even go and report that they think that the suspicious thing their child is doing. And after a little while, it's like, oh, it's the child's rights to do whatever they want on the internet, and we can't stop that. So I think that the gun law should be more strict. I believe that everybody, you know, who can use one to protect themselves is entitled to it. That's not what I'm saying, but I just think that we need to be more careful about the mental state of the people who are owning these guns.
It also stops suicides. I mean, there are so many suicides because people who own guns that should not possess them.
Yes. And that's what I talk to Linda when I talk about the mental health, and I talk to parents, because I am a mother of a child who has struggled. Most people will be like, yeah, but my child doesn't struggle. And I always tell them they could die under the hands of somebody who is struggling with mental health. We've heard of mass shootings, so it's like the person's mental health, you know? So the mental health is something that should really be looked at, and the stigma should be removed so that people can be able to seek the help that they need. And also every school, every person who comes into contact with our child should have should know the symptoms of mental health, depression, and everything. Even the bus drivers, they are there watching our kids on the bus. A driver can report to that kid who sits always back there is either always fighting or is very quiet. Even these people who are helping our kids at the crossing to cross over to a school. Everybody should keep an eye out on these children, because some of them, people always say they were very isolated, they were all this. It's not a matter of isolation. We have to get to the bottom of why is this kid isolating? What kind of a home are they coming from? What do we know about them? Because teachers now are afraid of going to school to teach kids. When there was all those shootings, and even now, they're afraid to go to school and are always like, you know, looking to see. I think just like we have at the airports where you can't go in with the, you know, with a weapon or something. I think that we should have such kind of things at the school where they're really checking these kids coming in and what are they bringing to the school for the safety of our own children.
Linda, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Steven.
I just wanted to know what you called it again. You called it not gun control, but gun something else. What?
Gun safety.
Safety.
We need gun safety, not gun control.
Okay.
And you know, people, gun owners, when I speak to gun owners as well, you know, most gun owners also want responsible people to own guns. They want background checks. Okay, they don't want ghost guns. You talked about the gun that you can actually go online, okay? You can order the parts to a gun. You can order the parts online. Okay, I think right now it's down to under $500. It used to be under $1,000. You can have them delivered to you. So you go online, you order them. If I order on a Monday, I can have them at my door Thursday morning. Under 30 minutes, takes me a little longer, but under 30 minutes, you can put this gun, you can put the parts together. You take a regular drill like you would use in a house. You drill a couple of holes, I think it's 4 holes. You put everything together and you now have a weapon that works, no serial number, and it's untraceable. Who wants something like that? Someone who can't pass a background check, or somebody who, you know, decides they want to go out and create havoc, or they're angry about something, or they had a breakup or a fight with someone, or got fired at work. You know all the excuses. Everybody here knows, or they got mad at their friend in school. You know, they got mad at their friend in school. They don't ask your age when you buy these parts, and you can put them together. That's one of the biggest fights we're having right now. Is there's actually a law that we passed in New York in the Senate. It's called the Scott J. Beagle Unfinished Receiver Act, because it's that unfinished receiver that's legal to be bought, and then you drill a couple of holes and you put it together, and now it's a finished receiver and you have a weapon. And you can just imagine, you can have young people online, you know, they know how to go online, unfortunately. They can purchase it, and then the next thing you know, they're bringing it to school. We have to stop this. And that's why I say, if you see something, if you hear a friend say, oh, you know, I can go online and I can, that needs to be reported. You're not tattling. Maybe you're stopping this friend of ending up in jail, or ending up, you know, hurting someone or hurting themselves.
I think relationships like Dr. Penny and John said, that relationship of parents and their children and teachers makes it easier for our children to report when they say something like that. Absolutely. So for all those kids who are listening here today, I'm sure there's probably things you have had in school or thought about in school, or a suspicion you've had probably about your friend, and you're so afraid to go and report to a teacher or to your parent, but you could be saving your life. You could be saving your life.
Linda, this is Rebecca. Sorry, I had to turn off my video. I'm taking my son to football, but I've heard every word of your presentation, and this is something that I will definitely never, ever forget. And my 11-year-old son has also heard every word of your presentation. And we really, really thank you for your bravery and your heart, and also your time this morning. When I take my son to school in the morning, we always listen to like a 4-minute news briefing, like world news. And there is always news about a shooting. And I hear it and my son hears it. We hear it every day. So what is your advice to kids who then say, like my son said, listening to you, he said, I feel afraid to go to school. And it's not the first time I've heard him say this. What's your advice to kids who feel afraid, and how do you think schools can help kids feel safer?
Okay, so I like to live going forward and not in the past. So yes, there have been so many shootings. I mean, yesterday, but we need to go forward. We can't think. I mean, I caught myself in the same bubble. I would go someplace, and the first thing I would do is look and go, oh, where's a safe corner? Where would I be safe? We have to continue to live our lives, and we have to continue to live them not in fear. So what we have to do is we have to go forward positively. And like I said, if you see something, you say something. But if we can't live in fear. It's like I won't allow myself to live in fear. Okay, I am very much more aware of my surroundings all the time. Okay, when your son goes to school, he's with other people, so that's a good thing. He's not really like alone. I would say that that we have to be aware of our surroundings. Okay, and we really, going to school is really important, that we don't go in fear. And on the other side, I'm sure the schools nowadays have become more safe than they ever were before. You know, it's like unfortunately when there's a plane crash, people get nervous about going on the plane, but believe it or not, the next flight is probably the safest flight that there ever was, because they've done everything they can to make it safe. And I believe that's what they're doing in schools. I believe in the schools that they're doing everything that they can to make it as safe as they can. So school's probably as safe as it's ever been. Okay, so that's a good thing. And we have to live our lives. We just have to live our lives and not live them in fear, because when we live our lives in fear, as silly as it sounds, you know, the enemy has won. It's just like the enemy has won, and not everybody's bad. Okay, not everybody's bad. And just like in the FedEx building the other day, okay, they had no idea, but it would have been, it's awful to go forward in fear. And so that's really all I can say. But I will tell your son that schools are probably as safe as they've ever been. And that's what they do. And our goal is to go forward so we don't have to have any more lockdown drills. I know I'm old because I listen to all the people from the earlier part of this talk about how old they are. And David, if you think you're old, that's terrible, because I'm 66 and you're only 63. But years ago, if you remember, we had air raid drills. Do you remember we had air raid drills a long time ago? And we were so nervous about that, but we still have to go forward. So our goal for everyone on here is to do whatever we can. And our goal is to get rid of lockdown drills. And the only way we get rid of lockdown drills is to get a handle on gun safety. Okay, and so that's what we have to do.
So well said, Linda. That is really, really fantastic advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think that gives a lot of kids here an assurance, because I'm always asking my kids and they tell us, you know, in schools, they taught us this, they taught us where we could hide, they taught us what to do. And like you said, I think so when something happens, it's always like the next thing that happens is even much safer, because they realize all the mistakes that could have happened there and now try to make sure that these kids are safe, because the teachers also want to be safe themselves. Yes, Dimitri?
No, I was just itching my head. That was all. Sorry.
All right. Anybody else has something for Linda before we wind down? A comment? Yes, Tamara? Sorry, Tamara. I know, yes. In America, we moved our time. So all of you from other countries, I know even John said the same thing. I know that because it used to start at 5:30 your time, and no, 6:30 your time. Now we're starting at 5:30. There's always a time difference. I know it doesn't happen anywhere else. Here in America, it's like that time change. I'm so sorry, but welcome, Tamara. Yes. So Tamara, the question of the day was, is there some, I know you've always shared this with us where you're always talking about something if you see in school. And we were talking about, is there something that you have seen in school that you've reported to a teacher or to a responsible adult? And I know that you have talked to us about telling on other kids. It's not really telling, it's actually reporting something, and that shows how responsible you are.
Well, since I already closed school, I may remember a boy who was once borrowed me my pouch for my colors inside. So and foolishly I gave him the pouch and started playing with it. Now started sharpening. Others were telling him to stop what he's doing. I told him to give him the colors. He told him no. So I report the teacher. Then he said, if you dare, tell the teacher, I'll break it. So I went and stand and took the colors by force. After that, he broke one of them, and I felt very sad. So everybody was telling me to report, and I did report him. And the teacher told him to buy me another color. So after that, I told him never to touch my colors ever again. He told me, and then said, I will touch them if it possible. Then I tell him, go ahead and try. So I went and reported to the teacher. And the next day, he never replaced me the color.
But at least, Tamara, you reported to the teacher, and that's always such a good thing for you to do. I know you're very strong at that, and knowing that the teacher is always there to protect. Can you tell Linda how old you are and which country you're zooming from?
I'm Tamara. I've turned 12 and I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Tamara, you just turned 12? You're so mature. I would have thought that you're like 14 or 15.
Yeah, I thought she was too.
Oh, wow, Tamara. Thank you so much. You're always, oh my goodness, you're very mature for your age, and happy birthday to you.
Thanks.
Happy birthday, Tamara. What was your birthday? When?
I thought it was yesterday. Now we did it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yesterday. Oh, happy birthday, Tamara. Tamara has even been a presenter here. We've always thought she's older. You're very mature for your
happy
age.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Tamara.
Happy birthday, Tamara.
Welcome.
Happy birthday.
Welcome.
All right. Is there anybody else who's saying something, or are we done for the day? And so that we can thank
Can I
Linda?
say something? Can I
Yes,
ask
yes,
something?
sure. Yati. Yes, please.
Hi, 1 minute. Hi, Linda. I'm firstly, I'm so sorry for your loss. I mean, I also just saw a video about Scott, and I mean, I saw an interview and about students and everything, but I had just one question. I haven't really like been to a school much in the US. The one time I visited a school in the US, I noticed that there's not like security, like any security outside of the school. Whereas in like my school where I study, we have like 5, 6 security like outside the gates of our school. So like, would that also be a good idea to have security like in front of the school before the students enter?
Well, many of the schools, all the schools do different things, okay? In different states, all the schools do different things. Actually, in the different cities within the states, they do different things. So there is security right now in all the schools. So if you take like Florida schools, for example, where the mass shooting took place, those schools are extremely, extremely secure. Okay, they have safety officers that you actually can see that there are safety officers. I believe most of the schools have safety officers, safety resource officers, but you might not see them. They might not be visible to you all the time at school. But I know that all of the schools that I know of, and I don't know all of them, all have security, different securities, whether they put in new security cameras, where they put in, as a matter of fact, to give you an example, in Florida, in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, excuse me, the active shooter went to the first floor and then the second floor and then the third floor. On the second floor, they heard shots and they all went to lockdown, to their lockdown secure places, okay, on the second floor. So when the shooter went on the second floor, he didn't saw nobody in there. So he left the second floor alone, went to the third floor where they really hadn't heard the shots, killed people on the third floor, and then went into, there's a round turret type of a turret of glass, like it's round in there. That's where the teacher's lounge is. And what he was going to do, because we found it afterwards, he had written out his mission. He actually wrote out exactly what he was going to do. He had his plans. He knew what he was going to do. And on his plans, he was going to go up there. He wanted to be the shooter who murdered the most students. He went up to that round turret and he tried with his AR-15 to try, as the students were leaving, because the students were running out the doors, okay? He wanted to start shooting at them, but because of bulletproof glass, the bullets on his assault weapon could not penetrate the glass, okay? And that's when he dropped his bag and walked out with everyone else like a student. But the reason I tell you that story is bulletproof glasses being put in. There are in some of the schools, you go through metal detectors. And it depends upon the school, it depends upon the state, and again, it depends upon the funding that the state gets from the government as what they can do. And that's why we're very lucky today, because President Biden has really put forth a tremendous package for school safety. And I know that they're going to up the school safety quite a bit.
Linda, I want to thank you for bringing this to us, and I cannot imagine what you have gone through, but thank you for using your pain to be a blessing to the rest of us. But as I listen to you, I'm wondering whether there is a way we can also include this. As a mental health provider, we are doing a lot of community education as to how can we identify, how can we remove the shame and the stigma with mental illness. And I'm thinking to myself that maybe as families, as communities, we also need to talk about this a lot more openly, like you're doing now, to educate people that you said something very, very that you live with me, that when we don't talk about it, we are risking a lot more lives than we are thinking. So it's not, we are not reporting each other negatively, but doing the positive thing of exposing people. And you bring me to a point of saying that when somebody comes to me and says, I want to take my life, I'm a very confidential person, but when I know that somebody is suicidal, I have no choice but to report. And the same thing goes with this, when this boy or girl, or even men and women are doing the same thing. When we realize this person is not only a threat to himself, but a threat to the rest of us, that we as a community, as families, become more bold and realize that I'm not just reporting him and to messing him up, but actually protecting him and protecting the rest of us. So a lot more community awareness, a lot more community education, that we do need to talk about this so that we save more lives than we've been able to do in the past. Bringing back the village. Dr. Caroline and I grew up in the village setting where we say that it takes a village to bring up a child, that we become the villages, the communities that take care of each other. Thank you very much for doing this.
You know what we have to do, Penny, what has to really happen is we have to turn the stigma around.
Yes.
We have to turn it around to, we are caring and loving if we do something about it, okay? And we are not caring and loving, and we are a society of I don't care if we don't do something about it. But right now the stigma is upside down, okay?
Yes.
If somebody, listen, they don't only, it's not just mental illness or issues, because they're not mutually exclusive, okay? You can take somebody who's passed a background check and legally owns a gun, okay? They legally own a weapon, okay? And then all of a sudden something in their life happens, and it's like a death of a loved one, a breakup, something happens, okay? And it's like something snaps. At that point, okay, they should not any longer be in possession of that weapon, okay?
Yes.
And we as caring people, instead of being nosy and snitches, we need to turn it around that we care. We care enough to do something about it. We care enough to take away a weapon of somebody who's gone through something that might commit suicide. We care enough to take away a weapon of somebody that could be a domestic abuser. And I just think we just have it backwards. The teacher cares so much about their student and the rest of the students to say something about it, or to say to a parent, unfortunately, and I can only speak for who I know, unfortunately, teaching has become very different as well. I was a teacher by profession. I graduated college in '76. I taught for 10 years, and I actually taught overseas as well, okay? But I have to tell you, it changed so much when I came back to the States in '86. You couldn't hug a child anymore. You're not supposed to hug a child because you can't. Okay, if something was wrong today, it seems like society again has it backwards. If your child gets an A, your child got the A. But if your child gets a C, the teacher gave the child a C. Do you see the difference? I mean, if something's wrong, I think teachers are also afraid to call parents these days, because parents turn around and it's not the child's fault, couldn't be my child. It must be something the teacher's doing wrong. We have it backwards. Society's turned upside down.
You're right.
That's very
so
well.
right,
Yeah, that's
Linda.
very
I
well
agree
said.
with you.
Yeah, I never looked at it
Very
that way,
true.
but it's so true. The teacher gave my child a C, but when the child gets an A, it's the child who got
The
an
child
A.
got the A.
And that also brings me to what you said, Linda, that there's a teacher who had said that she had a problem with this particular kid. But like we're saying, and that is something we've been trying to work with teachers in Kenya about the voice of our child, is that we don't just call this kid a naughty kid or a trouble kid or the kid who makes noise in class. It's to find out, why is this child acting the way they are acting? What is
Yes.
going on? Are you angry? Are you sad? What makes you sad? What makes you angry? But when you just consider a troubled kid and no teacher wants you, then that kid knows that no teacher wants him because he's put in this class and he's put in the other class. And out of this, the child realizes nobody even wants me, nobody even understands. We have to start opening conversations with these kids and removing that stigma so that this child can actually come and tell you exactly what is happening, like trying. But again, Linda has said very well, there's always that, how far can you go with a child? Oh, I can't believe the teacher was asking my child this. Oh, I can't believe the teacher did this. But then when something happens, like we want to blame, everybody else, we have to really know that these teachers really do care for our kids. But we are so concerned about that little thing. Oh, I can't believe my teacher called my son in fast to ask him this. It's just strange, the rules that are out there sometimes.
Maybe just to add on something, first is to thank Linda for the bravery to share the experience and what happened. For me, I believe the more you share, the more the healing is. So I'm sure through the sharing, the healing comes in and more people are able to learn. Just to add on the issue of the school and what is happening nowadays, I being one of the teachers, it's clearly what you've said, that handling children nowadays has become very difficult. Sometimes even correcting them is a challenge because you fear correcting them. You might be doing it to help the child, but sometimes maybe the way they will report at home, you feel so much reprimanded. Personally, I've seen teachers who've been sacked over very small issues. They were trying to help the children, but the administration and the parents interpreted it differently. And at the end, these children that we are not able to guide, or most of the time we've let the children control the parents, especially the modern children. We as parents, due to lack of time with them, we will buy anything they say. So to compensate the lack of time that we are not with them during weekends in the evening, so whatever they say, we will buy that idea. Whatever they request, we will buy that idea. So it becomes also difficult as a teacher to guide and counsel these children, because the parents will listen, and we are boldly to say that I know my son, I know my daughter cannot do this. But personally, as a teacher, I spend more time with your son and daughter than you do. So it's a challenge, and I feel mostly the parents need to be educated more than the children themselves, because it's becoming a big challenge. I've seen this from the school I teach, and people love their job. That's where you get your daily bread. So sometimes you'll find people will just fold their hands and like do whatever these children want to do. And you can imagine the kind of society that we are bringing up. Back here in Kenya, the generation that is under the 25 years, these are people who, most of them are struggling with employment. There's no employment. And these are people who want to be rich without working. They want to drive a car at a tender age. I think you just wake up and you start driving. And even here, we are having issues of the weapons, the younger generation accessing weapons. Just recently, last week, and it was all over. Just a neighbor of mine, think a kilometer from where I stay. She's an editor in one of the station here in Kenya, the KBC. I think even when you go to YouTube, you'll see Betty Baraza. She was attacked by very young children. The husband, because saw the thugs, they were between 16 and 20, and those are people. Maybe some of them are in school, others have just finished. Young generation have not been able to guide and counsel. So for me, I will also wish that as we guide the children, let's also talk to the parents. I know, Dr. Penny, your generation as a parent is different from us as parents who are bringing children. You had time with your children, and I guess those children listen more than today's children. So we are in a very difficult situation. We have to do all that we can to ensure that we strike a balance. There is love and there is correction. Other than just love, then we forget to correct the children. Thank you, and God bless you, Linda.
I have to tell you, I do, we can't rewind. It's not like a TV show that you can rewind. But I do believe that the internet, okay, has a lot to do with some of the problems we have. And I'm not talking about the stuff you find on the internet. I'm talking about the fact that in the olden days when I was in school, David, when you were in school a little bit too, our parents were not involved with every single assignment we had. It wasn't on the internet. School wasn't, all of everything you do every minute of the day was not on the internet. Your assignments weren't on the internet. So the student had the responsibility of going to school. I'm really going to sound old fashioned, so I apologize. The student had the job, that was the student's job, to go to school, to listen in class, to get their assignments, to come home and to do their homework. Now it seems like they have their assignments. The parents can go online. The parents can check whatever the assignment is. The parents are all over the kid. It's not the child's job anymore. It seems like it's now the parents' job to get their child to do what they have to do. The parents are so involved, the child can't learn the responsibility. And I'm not talking about every child, of course. I'm not painting a broad brush, but parents are way too involved with every little thing that goes on in school. I mean, even now down to preschool, my granddaughter is 3.5, and every day my daughter gets a thing of what they did in school, shows them pictures, so on and so forth. It's mind-boggling. And I just think that it had a lot to do with it. And again, we can't rewind. We have to learn how to go forward and give these kids back the responsibility and make these parents sit back and let the kids, take the consequences instead of the parent sticking up for the kids. It's like when they go on the field and they play, if they're 6 years old and they play soccer, there's no more winners and losers. Everybody's a winner. There's no such thing when you have a team. There's one team that won. There's one team that lost. It's really okay not to be the best. I know it's mind-boggling.
Yep.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Linda, firstly, I'm so sorry for your loss. And thank you so much for being so brave and sharing your story with us. And I'm sure the kids have so much to take away, apart, of course, us too. And when it comes to children, as I completely agree with you and what John mentioned, the kids in this generation are instant. They need everything instantly. They don't have the patience. They don't have the patience to research. Like, as you said, you're not old school, but that is the best way. I think we all turned out well, even though you call it old school, but I think we all turned out well, and it's definitely no issue. So we had assignments which our parents, I mean, my mother is not literate. My father was very busy in his own business. So we had to kind of groom ourselves. We had to do our own project. We had to go to the library, sit and research, no internet. To take a Xerox copy or a photocopy of a book was such a task for us. Internet would have, so I keep telling my son himself that, if I was in this generation
intelligent man, I could have ruled the world with so much of access to such good stuff. You just make the best use of what is there. Saying that, I also would like to say that parents are not getting involved in the children as much as they have to be. When I say involved, not micromanage, definitely not micromanage, but at least oversee what their child is doing. They are, I'm sorry, but the Gen Z parents are the laziest. No offense to anyone, but with my experience, and I'm telling you, the Gen Z parents are lazy. Oh, you have my, okay, I have money. I can get them tuitions. I can get them projects. Okay, then, we have people in our country. I'm from India. I'm from Bangalore. And I make my son sit and do his projects for all his assignments. I sit with him. I explain to him. We work on it and present, give the projects. That was still when he was still 7th or 8th. Now he does his own projects. But parents came to me and they said, you know what, we will pay you money. Can you do a project for us and give? I'm like, what? No, I'm making my son struggle and do the thing. And now I'm not going to make your child, do the project for your child and give just because you're giving me money. It's easy money, definitely easy money. But what kind of a message am I sending to the children? Oh, it's okay. You can buy education. You can buy everything with money. No, it doesn't work that way. So parents are not involved in the way they're supposed to be involved. And they are kind of like, they themselves are finding the easy way out. So today, if I have people seeing my son Yatharth do the community service or whatever he's doing, I have parents coming and telling me, can you help me? My son needs to go to university next year in the US and they need community service. Can you do something about it? Get me certificates. I'm like, no, let him do the work. And I'm ready to help him to which community service he wants to do. So that is where it is. They did not get involved when they were supposed to be involved. And now they want to kind of like have a quick answer to all the problems. And what is a child learning? They're like, oh, it's okay. My mom knows and my parents have an answer for everything. So that is where we are all taking shortcuts, including parents of this generation. That's my thought on the involvement part of the parents.
I agree.
Shilpa, you always talk for every parent out there, and thank you so much. And we see the kind of child you're bringing up, and we're so proud of you with what you're doing as a parent. And like Linda said, we all need to be a voice for this, because she can't do it by herself, and then we can watch her on CNN and say we sympathize with you, we do all these things. But unless we stand with what she's saying, not just because it's not her we're supporting, it's what she's standing for, because it's saving our children as well. So Linda, we thank you. We thank you so much for your time. Yes, we thank you so much.
Honor.
Oh, thank you so much. And the kids here, and this is something that's going out into the world. And I know that it's not just in America where parents are worried about that, who has access to these guns and what they're doing. And we just really, supporting what you're doing to continue your son's legacy. We are so sorry about losing your child as a mother. I always say I can't even imagine what it could be, but sometimes it takes something to happen to you for you to decide, I'm not just going to keep this by myself. I know that I don't have another son who's going to be lost tomorrow, but maybe another mother has a son who's a teacher and he might die under such circumstances, or a child. So we really stand with you with what you're doing, and we will support you in any way that we can to bring this awareness out there. So thank you
Well,
so
I
much.
have to tell you, you guys are amazing. Okay, I've done a lot of speaking, but this is like the ultimate exchange. And really, you don't know me well enough. I don't just say that. This has been a great experience, and I loved being part of it. So thank you so much. And what you're doing is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot, Linda. That really does mean a lot coming
Yes.
from you to say something like that, because just like you, like I'm a mother who almost lost her child, and I know that so many parents are not as fortunate as I am that I can still, be able to hug my child. For them, they always find their child, when it's too late, when they're trying to take their life. And I decided that I just didn't want to sit back and be ashamed about it and beat myself down that maybe I was a bad parent, or there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. I wanted to go out there and be that spokesperson for every mother and every child out there. So thank you so much. We just like you, we're trying all we can to reach the message across. Just like you, we're trying to get speakers like you to give these kids the life skills lessons that they need. What you have taught these children today, Linda, you might not really totally understand, but they always either come back to us, or when you see them listening, now they know that there's always a speaker who came and told us that. So the next time maybe they see something or they see their friend is doing something, I'm sure that they will remember you and say, I'm not snitching on my friend. I am saving my life and the life of the other teachers that I love in school.
I would love that the people who are on here, if they come on next Saturday, just if you take 5 minutes of the time and ask them if in the last week they saw something and said something, just to see if maybe they did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really great. Thank you. Yes.
Just curious, I know what we did last week, blah, blah, blah. Did any of you experience, see something, say something? That would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. We will do that. And normally what we do is that we have all of them like write to us their thoughts or an email, and then we email it to you. We text message you what they got from it and what they saw from it. But that's a really great way to also ask them, now that you learned this, when you went out there last week, have you seen something and what did you do about it? And we will send you all those, Linda. And we even invite you again, just like you've been watching or just listening, from wherever you are, about what we're trying to do here.
I would love that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, so guys, we really thank you for making the time, and you've heard what Linda has said. So as you go out on Monday to school, watch and look and don't be afraid to say something. And we will definitely meet here on Saturday like we always do. 10:30 Eastern time. And for the people in Kenya, it will now be an hour earlier for you because we moved an hour earlier. For the people in India, in Cote d'Ivoire, in England, in Australia, South Africa, we have all these people from all these places. We'd love to tell you that we have moved an hour ahead here in America. And sorry that when I send the message, maybe I should tell you the time difference in your countries. But we would like you to talk to your children and write to us and tell me if they have talked to you about seeing something and reporting something and going forward, how that will be. So thank you so much. And for those who are watching out there, if you are a mother who's really struggling with what's going on with your child, write to us at thevoiceofourchild.org. Let your child come here and just learn from other kids the life lessons that they are learning, because those life lessons are the ones that will prevent them from going into a depression when they don't have an answer to something. And if you'd like to be part of the trip that we're going to Kenya, again, go to our website, Waragap-Africa Safaris, and you can be part of what we're doing. If you would like to sponsor a teen on a 2-week mission trip to Kenya, airfare included and everything included, it's $3,800 for teens over 15 years old. And these kids are really learning something. We are trying to build wonderful citizens of tomorrow. And if you're also a kid out there watching and you've had a friend of yours either threaten or say, I'm so angry at this teacher, or I'm so angry at this student, I feel like, taking my life, or I feel like doing this, please, 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 we would urge you, just go to somebody that you trust and say it, because you don't know whose life you could be saving. And you can write to us here at The Voice of Our Child at gmail.com, or go to our website, voiceofourchild.org, and see what we're trying to do in the world. I'm just a mother on a mission together with my husband, just parents trying to reach out to everybody out there. So thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda.
See you next Saturday.
See you.
Bye, bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda.
Bye-bye. See ya. See you. Bye. Bye, Shelly. Bye, Sandy. Bye, Tamara.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. David, do you have a closing or ups? I said, do you have a word in closing before we get off live on Facebook? Or you're mute.
I want to write some of these letters to the legislators and talk about gun safety and stress that I'm not looking for gun control. And I'd like to see if I can get that Linda's email so that I can kind of bounce some of the ideas of my letters to her before I send them.
All right, we have email address, and we do support her in what she's trying to do. It's all for the safety of our loved ones. It's not just in the schools, it's everything that's happening, like what happened at the FedEx. It's even what's happening to even our police officers who are really there trying to keep the safety every day, and always being so afraid because they don't know who owns the gun. So when you're probably trying to reach for something in your car or something like that, they have to be afraid because they don't know who owns the gun and what they can do. So for also the safety of our friends in blue, our brothers, our sisters, our, all the people who are out there trying to keep us safe. It always breaks my heart when a situation like that happens because their job is not easy. And sometimes they're reacting because they don't know what's going to happen, what you're going to reach out for. They don't know who owns the gun and what you can do with it. So mental health and gun control and just the well-being of everybody, and that having great relationships with our children and teachers having great relationships with their students will allow these kids to report if they see something. So again, my name is Caroline Bakaig. This is my husband, David Bakaig. We're the founders of the Voice of Our Child, which is an organization that we founded to bring awareness of teen depression and suicidal ideations, and to remove that stigma, and also to help our kids by taking them on humanitarian work where we feel that they are getting help by realizing that they're impacting the world in a remarkable way. If you'd like to make a donation to your organization, you can go to thevoiceofourchild.org, make a donation, and this can go to either providing school supplies or clean water, or also just helping a troubled teen or any teen who has been bullied or has been going through something on this humanitarian. Bye-bye, and have a great week.
Bye-bye.
And we meet every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. on our Facebook Live Voice of Our Child. Bye.